So everybody likes Kanye for one reason or another. And to simplify this, I wanted to look at every single Kanye album and give a reason why that album is the best. Even the ones that I personally don't like or don't think are even close to the best. And the only albums that I won't be mentioning are the ones that aren't official. I'll include some of the collab tapes, but not Cruel Summer. And that one is just because I don't feel like it. And we're gonna go in the order that Kanye released these albums, by the way. So that's all I wanted to say before getting into the video. Like it, I guess. Anyways. We start off with the College Dropout. Without this album being as good as it is, there is no other Kanye album. In fact, Kanye West wouldn't be a name that most people would recognize. He did way more than anybody expected him to do, with not only critical success, but also commercial success. He proved everybody wrong by making a song like Yeezus Walks the big hit, while also having songs like All Falls Down and Slow Jams go crazy on the Billboard charts. All of this while changing the stereotype of what a rapper is, as he wasn't the stereotypical gangster rapper. Most of all, the concept of the album still stands up to this day, in a world where college is becoming more and more useless as time goes on. Having a track that shows great heart like Through the Wire, and the outro of the album explaining the whole story and how he got to where he got, there's no doubt that College Dropout is the best Kanye album. Late Registration was Kanye's second album, and he had more expectations to deliver on this album than on the College Dropout. And so he did, with this kind of band / orchestral sound. But not only did he show out, he was able to shine a spotlight on what many people consider to be one of the greatest rappers of all time in Lupe Fiasco. And even get the best out of proven artists like Jay-Z, who had one of his best verses on the Diamonds from Sierra Leone remix. He also carries one of the anthems of the 2000s in Gold Digger. And he wasn't afraid to get political on this album, as he would call out people like George Bush. And this was before the Katrina stuff, I think. On top of that, with emotional songs like Hey Mama or Roses, mixed with the artistry that you get from a song like Gone, and it is no question that you get the best Kanye album in Late Registration. This album made Kanye a superstar. Stronger is his biggest song ever. Everybody knows it. Can't Tell Me Nothing is a big song. Everything is made for the stadium, which makes the songs overall better. This album went for a pop sound, and it exceeded on it because it was probably the best pop music in the year of 2007 and probably of the whole decade in terms of albums. It's the most commercially successful Kanye album, and there was a lot of pressure in this album as well because he had the whole battle with 50 Cent, and he ended up winning that battle. Although this album does have some of the worst Kanye songs according to people, it's probably because the highs are so highs that the lows are visibly lower, but ultimately the big songs override the trash ones, and it was a nice way to kind of wrap up the trilogy that was and even to this day, songs like Flashing Lights keep popping up on people's stories and stuff like that because of how good the longevity on this album is, which is why Graduation is the best Kanye album. This was such a switch up for Kanye, and it's amazing that he pulled it off. Although a lot of the critics hated the album initially, Kanye would prove them wrong by the end of the day. 808s was such a gamble in the sound that it was going for, and it ended up being so influential that it is worth extra points. Considering every Kanye album is considered influential to some degree, the fact that this is considered the most influential Kanye album speaks to how good this album is. It was the introduction to Kanye and Kid Cudi as a duo, and Kid Cudi's influence on this album really helps when it comes to the hooks. In terms of concepts, this is one of the most consistent albums that Kanye has, as he usually tends to kind of move away from the concept. In this one, he stays focused, and it kick-started a new era for Kanye. And there's a lot of songs in here that are misunderstood, but once you understand what he's going for, it is clear that this is Kanye's best album. This album really needs no explanation. It's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, considered one of the best albums of the decade and one of the best albums of all time. it holds a lot of Kanye's best songs. You know, every time you see a top 20 Kanye songs, you see Runaway, you see Devil in a New Dress. The videos were amazing, and even though the album does have a little bit of a dip in quality towards the end, the front is so good. The Nicki Minaj feature is one of the most quoted features in hip-hop, and all of the songs can carry from all the past albums from Kanye. Like All of the Lights is a song that I would use to describe graduation. It has the lyricism from Late Registration and the innovation from the College Dropout. It is the best Kanye album. Two of the top rappers in the game coming together to make an album, and it's definitely the most memorable Jay-Z collab album that he has had. And although some people may say it's dated and it sounds too much like a product of its time, it sounds like the best product of its time. There's a reason why Jay-Z and Kanye were able to play that song in Paris 13 straight times. It's because every song in here really has the quality to stand up for itself. It also has some of the best Frank Ocean features I've heard, and they shine the big spotlight on the kid that was like Nostalgia Ultra dropped the same year, and still Kanye and Jay-Z put him on the album. He showed out, they all showed out, and that's why this is the best Kanye album. Now, this album is the biggest gamble that Kanye has ever taken. He knew people were gonna hate this album, but he still went for it because he thought it was the best for him. The experimentation here is probably top tier, and from an artist as big as Kanye, we've never seen that before. And because in recent times, people have been switching up on their opinion of the album and saying that it's actually a good Kanye album, I think it proves why it is the best Kanye album. Starting with the great Ultralight Beam, this album was bound to be great. Father Stretch My Hands Part 1 was one of the best Kid Cudi hooks of all time and one of the best Kanye beats of all time. Father Stretch My Hands Part 2 catapulted Panda into the #1. One of his best songs lyrically in No Parties in LA, especially with the Kendrick feature. The Life of Pablo tour as well was pretty iconic, which is why The Life of Pablo is the best Kanye album. Kanye went to Wyoming and he focused on this album alongside a couple other albums, but mainly this album, as in this album he would have to rely solely on himself and a couple of features to make it sound good. A song like Ghost Town Part 1 is one of his most iconic songs of all time, and shortening the album to just 7 songs made it just that much more great. There was no way he was gonna be able to go off track or be able to miss with such a short runtime. He had no fillers and he was just straight to the point. Alongside some of his best vocal performances is why Ye is the best Kanye West album. Like a week after dropping Ye, Kanye would drop Kids See Ghosts alongside Kid Cudi. For both fan bases, this was one of the most anticipated albums. This album was rumored for years, and it was a dream for both fan bases that finally came true. It was critically successful. It carried the best from Kid Cudi and the best from Kanye, and it was like if both of them were a jigsaw puzzle that made each other better. Not only that, but it still was an experimental album, and it was more clear in experimentation than Yeezus was. A track like Reborn is literally a lifesaver for some people, and considering that Kanye had put so much time into Ye, the fact that this album came out better is even more incredible. And the view into Kanye's mental health was even better than it was in Ye. The beats on this album are top tier, with probably the craziest sample flip I've heard Kanye do in Fourth Dimension, and you get the best out of the emotional bracket of Kanye. And we might even get a cartoon series out of this album because it's that good. It's so good that it is Kanye West's best album. So Yeezus is king. I'm not gonna cap. I don't know. Hey, bro, he made Christianity cool. He made atheists rock with God, dog. That's why Yeezus is King is the best Kanye West album. The freshest album that I'll mention, Donda, you have this melting pot of hip-hop sounds in the current day, ranging from artists like Baby Keem to Jay-Z to The Weeknd to Lil Baby. We got to see the development of this album from being a bare bones album to a masterpiece. The deluxe version of the album including an Andre 3000 verse, which is incredible. Having tracks that hit hard with bars like Off the Grid and Praise God, but also having the range to go into a song like Moon or Come to Life, but especially Moon with Kid Cudi and Don Toliver. Regardless of what type of hip hop fan you are, there's something in this album for you, which is why Donda is the best Kanye West album. And that will do it. Not gonna lie, that was really tough to actually do, but that was my case for every single Kanye West album. With that being said, Jay Dilla, go ahead, roll the outro, and shout out to y'all for making that weekend video one of my most viewed videos of all time. So